Welcome to the Moulsdale Foundation Museum. I'm Dave Neal, I'm the host of Off Track Podcast, and we're here for a very, very special day here at the Moulsdale Foundation Museum. Welcome along to Alister McRae, Max McRae, Jimmy McRae. We're going to have an amazing day here at the Foundation Museum. We're starting off with the podcast. We've got some great questions. We're going to hear some fantastic stories. Gentlemen, welcome to the Foundation. It's great to see you.
Thank you. It's amazing, an amazing facility. I've been round it before, so it'll be good to go and have another look again.
We've got some amazing cars in, especially that belong to the family, that belong to yourselves, belong to Colin. The ramped history that you have in rallying is incredible. And the McRae name is huge within rallying, within Scottish motorsport history. So it's a privilege to sit down with all three of you and to talk about the cars that we have. There's some great memories as we look along. Jimmy, what stirred your memories most as we've had a look at the cars in the collection so far?
Well, to start with, actually, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my wife, Margaret, because it's her that forced me into rallying, because I was more interested in bikes and motocross bikes, and she'd hated the bikes and said, you know, want to have a go at rallying. You know, Alan O'Neill, a friend of mine, Tom Clark, a friend, they were rallying, and that's how it all started. So it's her fault.
When I was doing looking into the background, the two wheels side of things, because we do have a great collection of motorcycles here at the Foundation Museum. But I know for yourself, Max, have you done anything on two?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah,
on two wheels as well. And Jimmy, you started on doing the scrambling.
Yep, scrambling then.
And then everybody changed to rallying from there. How come?
I think we've fallen in the footsteps.
I started it. Well, Margaret started about getting me started.
To getting you started.
And you know, within 4 or 5 rallies, I thought, oh, I'm pretty good at this, and that's basically how it started. Yeah.
It was quite later on, wasn't it? In terms of age, when you were you early 30s when you started rallying?
Yeah, I was 30-year-old before I sat in a rally car, never mind anything else.
Did that help you as being a little more, let's say, mature?
I don't think I'm mature even yet.
I'm hoping not.
I don't think so. No, I think starting from scratch, you know, and you know, the first rally I finished 11th, and the second rally I finished 5th, and I thought this would just come to me. You know, a lot of people said, "How do you do that?" I said, "Well, in bikes and motocross bikes, you're always looking for the part of the track, you know, that you're going to get the most grip. You're trying to stay away from the part that you're going to fall off." And it just all comes the same in rally driving as well. You know, you're looking for the best place to place the car in corners and straights, and where you can get the most grip, and where you get the most grip and braking. So it all comes from motocross, basically, yes. And
when you, in that first season or the first couple of seasons, at what point did you realise that actually I can make a career out of this?
It was more or less after the first year, into the second year. You know, I had an invite from SMT, who was big Vauxhall dealers in Scotland, who said, "Oh, why don't you rally a Vauxhall?" And a lot of people, you know, who were, well, it was all Fords, a lot of Fords and Avengers and things like that. And the Vauxhall wasn't really into it, and a lot of people thought I was silly going and buying a Vauxhall Magnum and started rallying with that. But within a year, I had a semi-works drive. Rallying wasn't costing me anything, you know, two and a half years into rallying. So I think it was the right decision to make. It was to go Vauxhall. You know, it probably wasn't as quick a car as an Escort, but you got noticed, and the Scottish dealership, you know, put a fair bit of money into it. Then, you know, I was asked then to go down to a rally. I was wanting to get sponsorship for the RAC rally through SMT and dealer team Vauxhall, but they had no money. But they said, "We want you to go down and do a rally in the north of England," where it was the fortnight before the RAC rally, and all the dealer team Vauxhall cars were there. And I went down with my own car that was built, which was run by SMT, and I beat both the DTV cars, and that was it. I was rallying didn't cost me anything.
Until we started.
Until Colin started, and now this one.
Well, this is what I was going to say. You've got to a point where everything is paid for. You're making a great career. You're making a fine living out of it. Then all of a sudden, along come the sons, along come the grandson, and you're thinking, well, I've got to start paying out hand over fist again now. But they repaid you tenfold, didn't they?
Well, I'm waiting on this one repaying me.
No pressure.
This is work in progress.
We'll come to you shortly. You can be practicing your answers and listening to what's going on, Max. That's the great thing. But when the boys came along, was the path pretty much set? I mean, you'll be able to answer this, Al, as well. Was the path pretty much set?
Probably Colin was more. Colin started in bikes as well, but he was more. His mind was set in four-wheel drive, four wheels as soon as he could. I stayed on bikes a bit longer. So it was,
you damaged your knees.
Till I damaged my knees again, and then it was my mum again saying you need to stop that. You need to try a rally car, and so I think Colin, his mind was set. He was going rallying no matter what. I was enjoying bikes, light bikes, and then with the kind of operations in the knees again, it was right. I'll maybe try the rally. We'll give the rallying a go and see. And what my dad said earlier, I think the bike gives you a really good grounding for rallying because it's not like a race circuit learning a circuit, and the car almost the same every lap. Rallying is very diverse. So I think whether it's motocross or scrambles or enduro, and I think especially enduro bikes, I still do quite a bit of that. You're constantly thinking and constantly looking ahead, and the balance and the throttle and all works together. And although it's completely different, it's the same. So when you jump into the rally car, it actually feels pretty natural. It's just, the controls are different. Instead of handlebars, you've got a steering wheel. But the basics are the same, and the feeling's very similar. So I think it definitely, the bikes definitely help you progress into the cars.
To be able to look ahead and work out. Sorry, Jimmy, go.
And when you make a mistake in a car, make a mistake in a bike, it's normally, if you make a mistake in a bike, it hurts. Yeah. Most of the time, it doesn't hurt with a rally.
It's just more expensive.
More damage to the machinery than the man. That's
That's
the important thing. Yeah. Are you finding the same thing, Max? You're still quite young in your career at this point in time, but you're ploughing your own furrow beautifully with the McRae name beside you. But you're your own man. You're doing your own thing. Are you finding the similar thing from what Grandad said, what Dad said, and from the bikes to the rally side of things?
Yeah, definitely. I think we did a lot of enduro riding in Australia when I was growing up, and it's actually a funny story. I started in karting, but I wanted to do motocross as well, but it was my mum that said you should try karting, but I flipped the cart on my first race and had to call her and tell her not to come to the track because I was in the ambulance, so I think she probably quickly regretted that story. But it was actually quite similar to my gran saying that to Jimmy. But
there's a story of strong women in the McRae family.
You do as you're told.
You boys take all the headlines, but it's the ladies behind you. Behind every great man, there's an even greater woman.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But from your point, Max, as the youngest of the McRae family, how is it for you carrying the McRae name forward into rallying now? Because Dad's older, Granddad's even older. It's your turn.
Yeah, I think it's not. At first, it was a bit like quite a lot to go into rallies, like with all the social media and stuff. But now I'm not really fussed by it. It's all in the background noise, and it's just I got to do my own rallies, and I want to get results for myself as much as for the family, and there's no other reason for that. It's just same as any other driver, whether you came from a background or not, you just want to get the results, and you want to make it to the top level, whether it's for me or for the family or for my sponsors. I want to do it for everyone, so that's the way it is.
Who gives you the best advice out of either?
Depends what for.
And how much do you listen?
He tells me to stay out of ditches, and he tells me how to set up dampers.
I mean, that's the best way to do it.
I think at one of the tests I was at, Max was there, and he was doing a lot of testing back and forth. And I said, you're not learning anything in this mile and a half. Just get in and drive the car. And he did, and he finished in the podium.
That's good advice to be had. That's good advice to be had. Al, when you started, what was it like having a dad as a 5-time British Rally champion and the experience and the...
Yeah, and obviously when we were younger, we got as long as you could convince my mum to get a day off of school, we would always go along, especially when the Scottish Rally was on.
Yeah.
We'd get to go and watch some rallies and stuff, so you were in and out of cars quite a bit. But then when it came round to actually starting to rally, it was one of these things, you had to do the work. If you wanted to rally, you had to basically go and source a car and help build a car, and there was nothing handed to you, which I think has been the same with Max. You know, you've got to work. You work to the point of doing the rally, and you learn as you progress. So you learn a lot about the car before you actually even drive it. So for me back then it was great, and you know, Colin had already been in the Nova for a couple of years or 3 years, so I kind of tagged in at the end of there. We had a good setup with the cars. We knew what we were doing with them, so it was easy at that point, you know, coming in then. But obviously you did have that McRae name on your shoulders, and could you produce the results? But as soon as you get into your own rally and you're doing your own stuff, then you kind of forget about that. As Max said, it's all about getting from A to B as quickly as you can to get that result for everybody that's involved. So I don't think I think the McRae name for me helped at certain occasions, but it also made it a bit more difficult later in my career, because Colin was already in the World Championship, and it was the question was, well, there can't be two of them from that family can get to the World Championship and do the same job. So it got a little bit difficult later on, but you know, for sure it helped at the start, and it opened doors, but you had to keep them open.
But that's down to your own talents, isn't it? The same for yourself when you first started in the semi-works and then into the works cars. It's great getting there, but staying there is the hardest thing, and you'll come to that later in your career, as if the path continues the way that it is doing. The doors open fairly easily. Keeping them open is a whole different ball game.
And I think especially as soon as you start to get results, and for Max now, you know, the third generation, it's almost expected of him. But you get certain people that look at it and they don't want you to get the result because others expect it, and you know where you've come from. So that side of it they'll get quite difficult for them. But as long as you're getting results, then it doesn't matter, and as long as you're enjoying what you're doing.
There's always the inevitable comparisons, isn't there?
Oh, for
the
sure.
same in any sport.
Yeah, no matter what. Yeah, no matter what.
We have the Nova behind the WRC Focus. It's almost like a family heirloom. There's so many memories in that Nova, I think, for all of you. What are your best memories from it?
For me, I think that I did the first 2 years in the Scottish Championship, then into the British. So I think the Scottish Rally was probably one of my best. It was the third year with the 1600. Vauxhall brought out they had a GSI, which was 1600, and they did a GSI challenge. So it wasn't, we had quite a lot of mechanicals with the car in the first year. Everybody was having them. But then the Scottish Rally, I was in that car, obviously. You were doing it, Col was doing it, but the thing for me was the Works Peugeot team was there, and they were 1900 GTIs, and I actually kind of run with these guys for the full rally, and that was probably the first time that, before you'd been doing the Scottish Championship, this was a British round, and you were actually mixing it with the Works guys in slightly quicker cars. And I think that was for me the turning point where they actually started to watch me as Alister and not just Jimmy's son. No, you were starting to prove that you could actually, we were batting above our level there with these guys. So I think that's probably, with the Nova, that'd be one of the best.
There's a lot of pride in that, isn't there? It is carrying the name that is synonymous with British and world rallying. But there's the pressure that comes with it, but there's also the pride that you have with the family tree. And Max, as we said before, you're finding that, but you're also individuals as well, which is it makes things so much easier for you guys to deal with.
Yeah. I think if you look at it, motorsport, we think it's a big, massive community, and the world knows all about it. But it's quite a small community, whether it's bike racing, car racing, rallying. It doesn't matter. So you're a big part of that. If you think in the World Championship, and Colin and I were doing it, there was maybe, at that time it was very popular. I'll say there was 20 Works drivers, but 10% of them were McRae, because it was Colin myself. So you get 10% of the top of the world in motorsport and rallying. So it's not a massive community. So I think the four of us, having Max just starting, us and been there, it's pretty impressive.
When you look back at 1995, and you have the double championship, Colin winning the World Championship, yourself winning the British Championship, What an amazing time for the family, and what an amazing time for you as brothers.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that was, if you could go back, I would go back now. Because it was a lot easier than trying to get him sponsorship for going forward.
Well, we'll come to this later
yeah.
on, and especially with Jimmy, how things have changed. But
yeah, but no, I think it was obviously that's got to have been the best season, the best year for us, and also the fact that I'd won the British, but then hired a car off Malcolm Wilson, the escort, to do the RAC that year as well. So we were 4th overall. So it was probably, well, you couldn't get a better year basically. So.
From your side, Jimmy, is Dad looking at Colin and Alister and what they achieved that year?
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Alister that, you know, because Colin was world champion, you know, poor old Alister was forgotten about, and a lot of people didn't realise he was the British champion. But no, it was a fantastic year. It was just unbelievable, and there were disappointments the year after that. You know, still trying to get Alister into a proper works car, and it's all go. You know, even when you think everything's right, oh, it couldn't be any better. It's still a fight, you know, to keep the thing rolling on.
Momentum's everything, isn't it?
Yep.
And motorsport is difficult. You're only as good as your last results, aren't you?
Yeah.
Whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels. And Max, you're finding the same thing. You've got to keep that momentum going. You've got to stay at the forefront of people's expectations, whether it's sponsors, whether it's works teams. And then again, like we said about the doors opening, you've got to stay there.
No, I think even now, especially nowadays, it's getting. I think when we started, for sure, my dad, it was a sport that was used to promote. The manufacturers used it to promote their cars, but the cars have changed so much now that the car my dad drove, whether it was the Magnum, you could actually go into the showroom and buy something very similar.
Yeah,
you can't really do that nowadays. So it's more of a business, and it's definitely it's changed a lot. But the end result is you want to be in a car driving to try and beat other people. So it's the same from that side of it, but the peripheral, the business side of it's definitely changed.
The ethos doesn't change, does it? You've got to go from point A to point B as quick as you possibly can.
One of the only sports that, I get F1 as well, but the moral of it is, say, the exact same. You're timed on a stage against the other drivers. The cars in it are crazy different, yeah, but I think the actual sport itself is the same. You're going as fast as you can to some pace notes, and that's about it.
The only thing that you can compare it to on 2 wheels is the Isle of Man TT.
Yeah.
It's just man and machine against the clock.
Yeah, for sure.
And that will never change, regardless of the machinery.
Yeah.
Jimmy, of your championships over the years, which one meant the most to you?
Probably always the first one. You know, we basically, I was been with Vauxhall, dealer team Vauxhall for 4 years, and I had won the Circuit of Ireland for them and finished 2nd or 3rd in the championship, but because of the lack of sponsorship, they kept Russell Brooks on me. Then I was more or less fired at the end of the year. But then Opel came along, you know, and everybody said, you know, I signed a deal to drive the Opel, and everybody said, oh, it's a truck and bus division of GM, you know, it's a big car, it's a taxi compared with it. But that first year, it just all clicked, me in the car and the co-driver, and we won the championship, you know, in '81. And it was basically to Vauxhall.
There's a lot of pride in that, isn't it?
Because it was just a very special year, you know, just everything clicked. We won the tarmac, the Irish Tarmac Championship that year as well. And it happened, and a lot of people thought, you know, poor Jimmy he's lost his Vauxhall drive, and he's now driving through the taxi division. But no, it all worked. It was great.
I think anybody of a certain age, especially myself at the age that I am, the Opel Manta, the Metro 6R4s, the cars of the 80s, they evoke such memories. But the Manta particularly was an amazing piece of kit, and what you did in it was extra special.
No, it was a good move. You know, very disappointed that when, you know, I was told, you know, I didn't have a drive with Vauxhall for the following year. It was doom and gloom. But then Opel they were going to do the British Championship, but with another driver, a German driver. But when the dealer Opel team UK heard about it, they said, "Oh, I was free now. Get him in the car." And, I can always remember one of the dealer principals came with dealer Opel team principals came along and said, "Are you going to drive an Opel?" I said, "Yeah." How much do you want? So I thought, I'm going to cash in here. So I asked for double what I was getting with Vauxhall. And it was Bill Cleland, a car dealer. And Bill says, "Aye, that'll be right. I know what you got last year."
Well, it was worth a try, wasn't it? You've got to try your hand. He's either going to say yes or no. That's the...
But Bill being a car dealer, he'd it all sorted out before. He says, "You're getting that. That's it. That's it." And he knew I had no option.
So, well, there you are. There's a contract. You can sign that. But I know how much you earned previously. With the Nova at the far side here, behind the Focus, the other car that we have behind the ladies and gentlemen we can't see, but I'm sure we'll have some B-roll cut into this later on, is the RS Cosworth.
Yeah.
At the back there, which again, iconic cars. One of the great things that I find about rallying is the cars are what you have on your bedroom wall. They are the available road cars for our generation. So you could buy a Berlinetta Manta, you could buy the RS car. If you earn enough, but they're there.
Yeah.
They're out there on the roads. But then to take them into the woods through the RAC Rally, through the Scottish Rally, what an amazing piece of kit to be running through the forest in.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a thing that I'm, well, not against, but I think that, the World Championship, the Rally 1 cars, they're basically all the same. You can't, okay, one's a Ford, one's a what are they?
Hyundai.
Hyundai, Toyota.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're basically the same cars. Whereas in my day, you knew that was an Escort, you knew that was a Manta, and, you know.
These Celica GT4s, and the same with the Mitsubishi Evos and the Subaru Imprezas. They had their own shape, but now the Yaris, the Polos, the Hyundai little cars, they look very, very similar. You're absolutely right. Their silhouettes to the layman look very similar, but as we see with the TV in the background and the cars that we have here, they were iconic in their own way. What was your favourite overall for the cars that you drove?
I think I'm glad I never missed the Metro 6R4 the year I had with that, although it was a disappointing finish at the end of the year. I mean, a cam belt broke with 3 stages to go in the Manx Rally, and or I won the championship again. But it was just to be part of that Group B that year. It was special, and if the cars hadn't been banned that year, I think I would have had a chance of some World Championship rounds the following year with the Rothmans and the way the Metro had gone. But that was one of these things. But then along came the Cosworth, and that was more like a standard road car compared with the Metro.
Indeed.
But you still got to drive what you've got to drive, and everybody else is driving the same. So, and it was it that brought me the British Championship to start with.
Al, with your cars, where you had the Subarus and the Mitsubishis?
Yeah, I think probably the 98 WRC Subaru that I drove in the RAC with teammate with Colin. I think that was, at that time, that was probably one of the best cars. So to drive that was really good. But I also had the same car down in New Zealand. I've done quite a bit in the last 5, 6, 7 years. But it's that car, but it's 850 horsepower. For hill climbs. So there's one hill climb that runs down there. It basically goes from the valley to the top of the ski resort on gravel roads. It's about 18 k's. But that car there with 850 horsepower on gravel and no co-driver, so it was blind.
Yeah.
I still get goosebumps when I think about that. It's really special. These cars in first, second, third gear, you can throw them around and you can use the power to slide it. You could do that in fifth and sixth gear with that car. So that was pretty special. But on rallying, I think the 98 Subaru was probably one of the best. Not the quickest car, but for its time was probably one of the best.
When you look back over the career from the rally side and the events that you competed in at world level and British level, what are your best memories as you look back? We've spoken about the British Championship, but being abroad and racing with Colin as well.
I think the opportunity to travel the world and drive cars and get paid for it is a pretty amazing thing, and I'm sure someone that Max wants to do.
Maybe.
but there's events that kind of stick out. Probably one of my favourite memories is Finland, but actually with the F2 car with the Volkswagen, because at that time in the 90s we were coming up through Britain and starting to do some world rounds. But Rovin Pera, father Harry, there was Gardemeister, there was a lot, all Higgins and all the kind of top young guys were all doing the British Championship, but we're all going over to do selected world rounds. So when I was going to Finland, it was a case of, all right, you will never beat the Scandinavians in Finland, and there was a bit of winding up going on, and we were leading at towards the end of the second day. So at that point, now you're leading now, but you'll never beat them in Unumpoya, one of the most famous stages. So I thought, I knew if I could beat them there, then I reckoned I had it. And I mean, we didn't have any times on the stage then, but there was a guy that he actually worked with the Opel Swedish team, mechanic, I got on really well with. And Unumpoya is very, very fast on a wide road, and then the last 6 or 7 k's you turn off and it's narrow, and it's the fast wide road where you struggle against the Finns because they know it so well. Yeah. And I got to the end, and he actually had a board, and he was like, I gave us a thumbs up, and it was, I think we were 11 seconds up. At that point, I thought, good. I dropped about 9 seconds between there and the end on the bit that I should have been good at. But we still, and I mean, we fought, and I think we won the F2 class by, I think it was like 8 seconds after 3.5 days of, I mean, absolutely on the door handle. So for me, that's one of the best events for sure.
Traveling the world, as hopefully Max will get to do as well, it's an amazing thing to be part of a sport that you can take from and you can give back to at the same time as well. But I know you've done a lot of development with the cars as well in terms of taking the cars forward, and that's something that was part of your career, and whether that was instilled by Jimmy as being mechanically sympathetic and understanding what the car can do, whereas I think it's right to compare the two, but Colin was full send.
Yeah, I think, Colin, we both of us worked in our own cars. Yeah. So, from the start, it was originally in the garage at home. So there was no road cars in the garage at home. It was rally cars, banging and welding and gas.
Body shell.
It's a good example.
So we both, the ability to build and run your own car,
yes,
I think was very important. And then, Colin had the name of being the McRae because he had a few accidents, but I think if you look over his full career, there was events where it was balls to the wall, and like in Finland as a perfect example where he rolled, I think in the test, then he rolled another 2 times in the rally and got to the end a hero. But we were slightly different in that. I didn't have as many accidents, but you still had, there was some for sure.
You can't if you're not trying. You're not going to.
Exactly. You've got to. You need to know that you don't know you're on the limit until you're over it, and you sometimes get away with it, and you sometimes don't. So, but I think we were similar, but for sure, if it came to that, if we're going to get from A to B quicker than anybody, Colin definitely had the slight upper hand, I think. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't.
When you look at the rally, and I'll speak to each of you in turn on this one. When you watch the rallying on the TV, it's the same with the motorcycles. It's the same with F1. Normal people like me will never understand what it feels like to do what you do. Yeah. But when you're out there doing that, and you have your co-driver next to you, who you put all the faith in, that you know what's coming up, how it's going to happen. What's the biggest? For want of a better word, oh shit moment that didn't actually come off? I'm sure there's probably, I'll give you some time, there's probably hundreds of them.
There's quite, I think the most recent one was when I moved to Australia. I built an Escort, a Mark II Escort, to do some rallying, just for a bit of fun, and we went down to Otago Rally in New Zealand. It's one of the best, I reckon, one of the best rallies in the world, Otago. down
One
there.
that I have won, he hasn't.
I was leading it the year before the engine blew up, right? But I
There's
went.
a caveat to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice one, Al. Thank you.
But we were doing down there, and it was basically normally you do 2 pass recce, so you make your notes, then you check them.
Yeah.
In New Zealand at the time, you did 1 pass, and they gave you like route notes, they called it. But I decided, no, we'll make our own notes. 1 pass is fine. But it was that year, it was real dusty, the dry summer, very dusty. So on the recce, you kept having to stop to let the dust clear, and there's nothing worse because when you're making notes, you get in a flow and you read the road. So there was one stage, and it was all very, very fast over crests, and I had them all as flat. And as I come across the last one flat, as I got to it, I thought, oh, this is not flat. So it was a case as we come off, it was full sideways, and we're in the ditch, going down the ditch, and there was it looked like an old tree stump, and I thought, oh, the first thing that came into me was, oh, my car, I'm going to destroy my own car. But it hit it and it disintegrated, and the car, we'd doing 110 mile an hour, it bounced back on the road and landed in the middle of the road and kept going forward. It punctured, knocked the tyre off the rim, and the two, I just turned around, it was Bill Hayes co-driving, we just turned and looked at each other and started laughing. But it was a nervous laugh of how did we get away with that one? But that's definitely one where you're looking out the side window, sliding down the ditch 100 mile an hour, and you think, oh, that looked painful, but we got away with it.
What's the story? Max?
A few. I don't know. My co-driver probably remembers him a bit better than I do, because he's normally the one looking out the side window. But I don't know. There's not one that straight away comes to mind. We had a big slide in Hungary this year. I think it was like the last stage actually. It was the power stage. I think you were all watching it.
Yeah. He was coming into view and disappeared from you. Like,
the guy that was in front of me on the road just went off on that corner doing the same thing as I did, and then I came through and went sideways and into the bushes and came back out and ran the last corner and over the finish. And me and my co-driver were just laughing. But the whole weekend I was really sick and in and out of concentration, stuff like that. And so I was like, if this goes off on the last corner, then I'm just gonna pack up my stuff and do something else. Maybe football boots or something.
Start lacing the boots up, and away we go. There's a pattern forming, and I think you'll be able to carry this one on, Jimmy, in so much as the nervous laugh after you've got away with it. Nobody really says anything, but you just chuckle away to yourself and go, okay, we'll carry on.
And you just go, whoa. That's it, that's all.
So what was your biggest moment that you can remember?
One back in the days when we did the Welsh Rally, they have Eppant ranges, you know, the ranges for the army and that, where they do the training, they do a lot of rallies there. But you weren't supposedly allowed to recce them, you know, because if the red flag was up, you couldn't go in. But people who'd done that rally, you know, they knew where they were going. And early on in my career, we did the rally, and usually there would be 3 stages you would do 3 times. But the first time through the stage, I was always slower than everybody else. Then the second time, because these guys knew where they were going, and one of the corners, it was like over a crest. And the first time I did it, it was a Cosworth, went from 5th to 4th. And I thought, shit, that's a lot quicker than that. So the second time, dropped a bit of time. The second time, I was nearly on. I had gone from going from 5th to 4th to just lifting off a bit in 5th. But then the third time I did it, I thought, this corner's flat out. Well, it wasn't flat out. We caught the grass, and the thing went upside down, and the windscreen broke, and the shit was coming in, the grass was coming in. Then it finished up in its wheels, and all I could hear was moaning from the co-drivers. Ian, you all right? Ian, you all right? Oh. I thought, geez, I've killed him. You know, and I'm turning around, and he wasn't in the car, and I thought, oh my God. So I finally got out of the car and went round, and he's crawling about in the grass. I said, Colin, are you all right? You all right? I'm looking for my fags. I said, you're all right then, you bugger.
But at least you know he was all right. That was the main thing.
I think that was...
Ian Grinrod was obviously co-drove for Dad, and he always says that was one of his biggest accidents. Then he co-drove for Colin a couple of times, and they went to Sweden, and Colin had a head-on the recce, because obviously the roads are open when you're wrecking. Sure. Put Ian in hospital. And then Ian came with me on a test. He used to do my gravel notes, so we're doing a test with the latest Hyundai that was coming out, doing a test. And I mean, as a driver, I still swear that there was an electrical problem that cut out, but we hit the bank and it was like an aircraft accident. There was bits everywhere. And Ian was sitting with me. And of course, it all stopped. And I'm like, I said, "You all right, Ian?" He went, "You're the third one that's fucking made me bleed." But going back to the wreck in Sweden, we went to the Swedish about 4 years after that, my first time, and we're doing the wrecking. But back then it was like 14 days recce, so you could go off and do what you want. So we were wrecking, and it was a Peugeot GTI with hardly any studs left because we couldn't afford to put new tyres on it. And we come round this corner, and there's a car coming the other way, hit the car, head on. So Nick, that was he got out of the car, he spoke a little bit English, so next minute he's phoned the police or radioed the police. They've arrived in. So I said to Dave, "Look, you stay with the car, I'm off to the police station with the cops." Down to the police station, and they made a big scene of it, and eventually they let me out, and there's a tow truck take us back up to pick up the car. So we get back up to the car, and Dave says, "Are you all right?" I said, "Aye." I said, "They were getting a bit stressed and they were wanting my licence." I said, "But I think we're okay. We'll need to speak to the organiser of the rally." He said, "The car stopped after you left with the cops." And I can't remember his name. He was a Swedish driver. And he got out and he saw Dave and he went, "Oh, I can't believe this." And he said, "What?" He says, "This is where Colin had the accident. It was a Grinrod 4 years before, and that guy was the first guy on the scene." No. Yeah. So it's now in the road book as McRae Corner. The McRae Brothers Corner. But yeah, same corner. And now he was the first guy to stop.
The synergy of it all. It's a little bit too much, that, isn't it? You're not going there.
They don't run the Swedish rally there anymore.
Oh, that's all right.
Different location.
Different locations now. When we talk about Colin, we've got the great cars behind us as well, and the family. He was such a huge presence and such a huge name in rallying and elevating the sport, as well as the computer games, as well as the rally, all the race of champions, and the things that he did with Ken Block, the X Games, all that side of things. He basically transcended the sport, didn't he?
Yeah, I would say. I think probably the rally game was one of the biggest things, and back then as well, it was front page media, the rally, and then especially when Burns and Colin were fighting for the championship, two British drivers, and then I think the rally game on top of that took it to a new level because it became worldwide then, and everybody's living room had a PlayStation or whatever. So I think, but yeah, for sure it would be the biggest name in rallying back then, and it's continued on for a long time.
Aye, back in these days, you would open the Daily Express or the Scotsman in the Monday morning and read all about the rally, whereas now there's nothing.
There isn't.
Even in Wales, I was speaking to Gwyneth Evans, when Evelyn, was winning the rally there and almost won the championship. There was nothing even in the Welsh papers, there was nothing in. So, we need to try and, get it back in.
I agree completely.
Noticed by the locals. But look at what's here today.
It's an amazing set. I'm sure it's one of the biggest weekends that we've ever had, and it's for you guys and for Colin. Yeah. It shows that the love for the sport and for the name is there.
You can't get it into the local press.
A lot of the same with two wheels. I think motorsport generally, we're in a strange. We'll not go too deep into it, but the media side of things now, and oh no, that's dangerous. Yeah, that's what makes it exciting.
Or you're using too much fuel.
Yeah, we're burning fossils and we're burning rubber, but we're having such a good time. This is the bottom line, isn't it? This is it. We're having so much fun. But when you what was I going to go with that? When you go back into the mid 80s, the late 80s, early 90s, the RAC Rally was huge. With the Kielder stages, Chatsworth, Clumber, some amazing events that we staged over the years. The Lombard RAC Rally was a major motorsport event on the calendar, similar to MotoGP and Formula
Yeah,
One.
and I'm sure the RAC, they reckoned when it was the 5-day event, there was more than 1 million spectators over that 5 days. I mean, it would be the biggest watched event in the UK for sure.
I remember watching it at Clumber because that was our local stage, and you used to take a day off school, and I clearly remember Tony Pond in the 6R4, later UR Kankinen in the GT4.
Yeah.
And all those names that came through, the McRae names that came through, you're like, now we just don't seem to have that, because it's the Rally of Wales, it kind of stays over there, but when we had the stages across the UK,
yeah.
it was an amazing event.
Same with the Scottish Rally. The Scottish Rally used to start in Glasgow and go south, right round south, back up through the north, through Inverness, and back down. The Scottish Rally now is 40 stage miles.
40 stage miles.
1 day event. It's
Change times for sure.
It's just sad. It is sad, isn't it? Because the sport, I think the sport for me demands more.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
as the 3 generations, how's the sport changed over the years?
Well, one, it's got more expensive, a lot more expensive, and I think because it's more expensive, they have to cut the mileage down, and it's a shame. Although you see the Roger Albert Clark Rally this year, it was more like the old RAC Rally, and they had 140 entries, and you just wonder.
No, they had 320 something entries.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
No, you have to,
Even better.
but you have to get your entry in for that one like 2 years in advance.
Really?
Yeah.
The entries were, I don't know what the entry fee was. You think, people are not going to pay that, but there are people there want to do that, want to pay. They don't want to go and do a 1 day event and 40 stage miles. They want to, it's a challenge. And I think we need more of that.
I think there's an awful lot of cars out there still, isn't there, that people want to rally. They want to use them because the options now are becoming less and less. So to take those opportunities over a weekend and a couple of days to bring out their Impreza, their RS Focus, their RS Cosworth, the Manta if they want to bring one out, run what you brung almost.
Yeah. No, I think rallying's definitely changed, and I think the fact that the manufacturers now, there's new regulations coming out in the WRC for 2027, which I think is a good idea, because there's a lot of manufacturers don't have a car suited to rallying anymore. They don't build that Fiesta 4-wheel drive RS road car. That doesn't happen anymore. The Subaru Impreza now, the turbo, it's a big car. So they don't have a car that fits the category for what a rally car should be. But the new regulations in WRC will allow them to, if you want to say, shrink an Impreza to the correct size. So I think that side and bringing the cost down hopefully brings manufacturers back. Because when you get manufacturers in, you get professional drivers, but you also get that filtering down. The works cars then are getting sold at the end of the year and so on. So it hopefully gets a bit of a snowball effect. And I think from 2027, I think that for me, I think rallying might come back to be more of a global sport and a bit more well known again and so on. So I hope it does. But for sure, the cost to get Max to position that myself and Colin were at, 3 years in, the cost now is astronomical to what it was back then. But it's still the best sport in the world.
That's what matters. That's what matters. Max, what's the future for you? What's the path look like at this point in time?
Not sure. You kind of just do it year by year and hope you're back in a car the next year. So, we just finished this year, and you got to work with your sponsors and partners and see what you can get together for next year. I'd like to, whether it's this coming year or the year after, try to be in the WRC for even a few rounds, just to get the experience there, and just what's what we've been working for the last 5 years that I've been rallying, is just to get to the WRC. So yeah, I'd like to do that, and then I'd like to win the British Championship, whether it's next year or the year after.
Next year, son. Next year.
Yeah, next year.
Next year we're going to win the British Championship and do 2 or 3 world rounds.
Yeah.
Just go on and drive it.
Yeah.
You've got 6 British championships sat next to you, and you went, well, I might win it the next year or the year after. You're winning it next year, son.
Yeah, so winning the British Championship next year.
That's better.
Yeah, and then hopefully get to the World Championship. That's the goal. Yeah.
What's given you the most pride so far?
That's a good question.
Thanks.
Yes,
That's my job.
Have you done this before?
Don't you be buying time? Come on.
I don't know. In terms of rallying, probably just seeing progress. Because sometimes you get caught up with not seeing the progress. And I was saying to Dad before, I've watched the onboard of the Donegal rally when I did that a few years ago. It's been on the TV here, and you're just like, Christ, how did I drive the car to those pace notes or something like that? Or even watch videos of me doing like a pre-event test, like a few years ago. And you think you drive quicker on a first pass without pace notes than I was on the pre-event test in that car. So to see progress is good. And obviously results are very good as well, especially to see everyone very happy with the results, like at the Cambrian rally. That was good.
Aye, 3rd or 2nd, then I win.
Yeah, so,
A good end to the season.
And that's the important thing, that you're both seeing progress as well, and you understand ways. But you having the 2 generations to help Max come through with it all, it's a wealth of knowledge and it's a wealth of experience. What's the biggest piece of advice you've been given but you didn't take? It's one of my favourite questions.
I can't do that, I'll get slapped across the head.
Because it all sounds such a great and easy question, and then at the end of it you go, oh no, I didn't take that advice.
I don't know, there's not been really much that...
I said I wasn't going to throw your dad under the bus. I never said I wasn't going to throw you under.
I think I don't know if you messaged me or called me on the second last stage, after the second last stage of the Cambrian, you said, just settle for second.
No, that would be you.
Was that you?
No,
someone, but they didn't say, you didn't say settle for second, but you said
second's still a good result.
Yeah, you said something like that. Yeah.
Go flat out, but don't crash.
Yeah.
That's better. That's better. Flat out with no crash.
So
We'll see where you end
So
up.
it took 9 seconds out of them and won the rally. So
Which is incredible.
yeah.
And that's the future now, isn't it? That's where we're looking at it. That's what all the hours that you both put in to get Max to the level he's at now, and then you kind of get there, and then you've got to go again. You ready for that?
I was sitting in the road section at the end of just past the end of the rally stage, and we were sitting there, and the weather, it was unbelievable. Oh, I thought, oh, poor bugger, you know, I don't think, it was 4 seconds down. 4 seconds down. I don't think, then he came and parked alongside him, and there was a smile from there to there. I thought, oh, he's done it. It's just 9 seconds out of him.
Brilliant. And I think you've had some entertaining times recently with Holly, I've seen on social media. Would you care to tell us the story of that one, Jimmy?
No, she decided she wanted to go. Well, going back to she was 12 or 13 year old, we had an old car and got her on the field with it, but the interest wasn't there. You know, right, we'll go. Then, you know, I can't do it. I can't go. You know, we do a couple of days, or a couple of nights where we had the car out. Then no, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. Then I thought, she's not really interested. But then now that she's, you know, she wants to be, now that she's back in the rally scene and fancies doing a rally, then she said she was going to do the Roger Albert Clark rally, and I thought, it's the worst rally in the bloody world. It's the most difficult, and it's all in Kielder, and they call Killers Kielder stages. And I did a test with her there, and I said, see what we mean about Kielder, on the 3 mile, the bit where you tested, on the bit, I said, in this 3 mile site, there's not a bit you can go off the road and get back on.
Ditch is bigger than her Mini.
I said, you lose the Mini if you go off the road. Well, she did it. The weather was horrendous when she did it. I mean, it was snowing, and I thought,
need studs.
It was the wrong time of year to be doing it, but as Colin's daughter, your niece, your cousin, great to see her have a crack at it and doing the social media side and what she's done at Goodwood as well. there is another McRae out there doing great things.
Oh, I think she's enjoying it now. She was never really, she wasn't involved in motorsport at all.
No.
And then when Max started, she came in a few events with Max and did a bit of the social media for him.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously sparked the interest. And now, I mean, well, she's got, I think, half the year's fully booked up next year already with jobs. So she's enjoying it, and then obviously the driving side. But it wasn't the event to debut on. No.
Because I said to her, I said, forget about it, we'll do a Scottish Championship event or something. No, I'm going to do it. And been offered the mini challenge thing, which I think is a fantastic thing for starters. You know, a road going mini, you're only allowed to do certain things to it. Well, that mini that she drove, I thought, bloody hell, what a good championship this is, and a reasonable championship, you know, cost-wise. But anyway, we'll see.
I don't think her mum Alister will like that. She's quite firm on no more rallies.
All we got initially was, we're going off and can't get back on. And of course Alison heard that, going off and can't get back on. Then we saw the photograph of it. You've gone off, but you've
Can't
gone
get
off.
it back on the wheels.
It's a bit like retiring for an electrical fault, but it's because you've hit the tree that hard, you've knocked the alternator off.
You find the same in motorcycle racing. Electrical fault covers a multitude of sins. It doesn't matter if you've pulled the sump off and it's ripped a couple of cables. It doesn't matter. It's an electrical fault.
Wiring.
We've got a leaking radiator. It's not there.
This has been absolutely fantastic. We've got this to do again upstairs in front of a live audience with a Q&A coming up. I have one question that I have to ask from one of the journalists that can't make it today, a lady called Kerry Violet from GP Fans Global. She said in 1996, Colin swapped his iconic Subaru Impreza for Martin Brundle's F1 car. How seriously did Colin consider a switch to single-seaters and a pursuit of F1?
That was basically through cigarette sponsorship, which was allowed back in the day, which I think should come back because they were very good sponsors. That's maybe not the right thing to say, but no, I think
I can caveat that, dude. Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the opportunity. Obviously, I think there was Benson Hedges and there was 555, and then it was basically, you know, to get a run in the car. There was I don't think there was any idea that Colin was going to go to Formula One. It was just basically the opportunity to do it. And I mean, he did. He said it was amazing. I think the biggest, for him at the time, he said the biggest thing was the speed it slowed down when you just lifted off the throttle, you know, all the aero. It wasn't, he said, the brakes are impressive, the acceleration's impressive. Okay, very good, the speed you go through a corner. He said the biggest thing was you get to the end of the straight, you lift your foot off the throttle, and he said it's like pressing the brakes in a World Rally car. You know, that's how our back then Group A car, that's how quickly it stopped. But I mean, he wasn't that far off Brundle in the times, so you never know.
Never know. What a beautiful way to finish, gentlemen. Thank you so very much.
Thank
you.
you.
It's been a privilege and a pleasure.
Thank
We're going
you.
to do this all again upstairs.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alister, Max, and Jimmy McRae.